Good morning, my dear students. Today I am coming to the part 2 of the factors modifying drug action. So, as we mentioned before, there are many factors which were responsible for modification of drug action. Few were quantitative, the plasma concentration, the action of the drug, even the qualitative one like drug allergy. But primarily today we'll focus on something else, the interaction with other drugs. Few of them being discussed in one of a very short video where I have discussed synergism, antagonism, additive effect, and potentiation. These are all different kinds of drug interactions where more than one drug is prescribed to a person. It can be beneficial to the patient, like a combination of amoxicillin, clavulanic acid, which is a good combination of antibiotics, or a combination of levodopa, carbidopa, which is a good combination for a person who is suffering from Parkinsonism disease, or it may be non-beneficial like levodopa pyridoxine. Pyridoxine prevents the entry of levodopa. It doesn't allow it to cross blood-brain barrier. So it is basically a non-beneficial drug interaction. But drug interaction will be taken care of in a separate issue. It is a part of practical. So it will be discussed in details. I will take your lecture class on this. I will probably post video on this. So you do not have to worry. And the more drug you know, the more it will become easier for you to understand the meaning and the nature and the relevance of drug interaction. But this is an important part which is definitely causing modification in drug action. So now we are coming to the topic which is important for today and which is definitely going to cause some kind of changes in drug action, and that is called drug tolerance. What is that? That can be described as a large dose of a drug when it is required to elicit an effect ordinarily produced by its normal therapeutic dose. The phenomenon is termed as drug tolerance. It has its own types, but here, before going to the drug tolerance in that sense, we are coming to a new term that is called acute tolerance, or that is also known as tachyphylaxis. Rather, tachyphylaxis is a more relevant name in this regard. Now, what is drug tachyphylaxis? It means quick protection, progressive diminution in the response of the drug by repeated administration of the drug at shorter intervals, and the original effect cannot be achieved by increasing the dose. It is observed with indirectly acting sympathomimetic. When we will discuss ANS, you will know these names: ephedrine, tyramine, amphetamine. So ephedrine is basically a mixed acting sympathomimetic, and it is also seen with the histamine releasing drugs. It is also seen with in vitro with urethane, atropine in isolated loops of intestine of dog. So in all these drugs we can see this phenomenon, tachyphylaxis or acute tolerance, and the meaning is little bit different from the tolerance itself. It means, once more I am saying, progressive diminution in the response of the drug by repeated administration of the drug. Very quickly you are giving the drug to get an effect at very short intervals, and the original effect cannot be achieved by increasing the dose. So the more dose you give, the efficacy is not going to be the same, or even increased efficacy can be seen. Rather, gradually it will be decreased. And what are the mechanisms responsible for this? It is usually the depletion of noradrenaline stores from adrenergic nerve endings, This is the first mechanism. The second one is slow dissociation of drug from the receptor, and so the next dose cannot activate the receptor which are already blocked, and some unidentified adaptive changes in the tissue occurred in this case. So that is about tachyphylaxis or acute tolerance. And the examples are, again I am saying, ephedrine, tyramine, amphetamine, these are indirectly acting drug, some histamine releasing drug, and there are in vitro drugs been seen like atropine and urethane on isolated loop of intestine of dogs. Now we are shifting to the main one, that is the tolerance. And by the term tolerance we mean a phenomenon in which the individual develop resistance to the usual effect of the drug, and the original response can be achieved by increasing the dose of the drug. So it's very simple. With the therapeutic dose you are not getting any response, but once you increase the dose you will get adequate response. Usually the increasing the dose you can overcome that kind of resistance given by the tissue or by the body itself. So that is called tolerance. Different effects may show different tolerance, and tolerance is obviously reversible. Tolerance can be classified into different types. True tolerance, which again can be subdivided into two types: natural tolerance and acquired tolerance. True tolerance is seen on both oral and parenteral administration of a drug and can be natural or acquired. Natural resistance is, or the tolerance is, seen in different animal species and also among the various human races. It includes species tolerance, where animal species can tolerate certain drugs in quantities lethal to man. Some rabbits can tolerate large quantities of belladonna. Racial tolerance, a solution of ephedrine instilled into the conjunctival sac of Caucasians produces prompt dilatation of the pupil, but in Negroes or rather in blacks it may not produce any dilatation. Acquired tolerance, that results only on repeated administration of a drug, may take weeks to months to develop. Opiates, barbiturate, nitrate, this kind of drug will show this kind of tolerance. And this kind of tolerance may be classified into two types: the pharmacokinetic tolerance, due to increased metabolism due to enzyme induction. Barbiturates increase the metabolism of itself and other CNS repressant drugs. And the pharmacodynamic tolerance, it due to the adaptation of the tissue, it is happened with the CNS depressant drugs like morphine. Cross tolerance, development of tolerance is pharmacologically related drug of same or different chemical groups. The alcohol, barbiturate, morphine, pethidine, alcohol with barbiturate, barbiturate with morphine, alcohol with pethidine, pethidine with methadone. So all these kind of things will give you cross tolerance. The partial tolerance, development of tolerance to certain effects of the drug and development of tolerance to euphoric and sedative effect, but not to miotic and constipating effect of morphine. So that is called partial tolerance. Pseudo tolerance, this term is basically kind of misnomer. In chronic alcoholics there will be chronic gastritis and alcohol is less absorbed and large amount is required to produce the same effect. This is not basically a true tolerance, and hence this is known as pseudo tolerance. So these are in brief about the tolerance. The mechanism is again norepinephrine depletion and the plasticity of the receptor, which means probably the receptors are not functioning properly. Reverse tolerance is just the reverse of that of tolerance. That means the drug will become more effective with repeated doses. It is only happening with the drugs like marijuana, uh, in some of the stimulant psychomotor effect like producing drug like amphetamine. It could be due to learning, due to pharmacokinetic type, due to some pharmacodynamic phenomena. Now let us come to the next topic, which will modify the drug action, and that is drug dependence. So the drug dependence is basically on chronic administration. An individual becomes dependent on certain drugs. The individual first develops tolerance and becomes physically or psychologically dependent to the drug and may develop addiction. So that's the reason why dependence and addiction, the terms are being conglomerated over here. But the thing is, all these terms are not being used nowadays as per the DSM-5 classification of psychiatry, and in Harrison also these terms are not written. This is happening due to neuroadaptation, adaptation of the system to work normally in presence of drug. There may be cross dependence. Sudden withdrawal of the drugs may lead to withdrawal syndrome. Drugs may produce both physical and psychological dependence. These are opioids, alcohol, barbiturate. They can produce both. Drugs producing mainly psychological and mild physical dependence are cocaine, amphetamine. And drugs producing only psychological dependence are LSDs, lysergic acid derivative, and mescaline, marijuana, caffeine. So they can produce only psychological dependence. And you can see the term addiction, and these are the simple examples. From the picture it is clear what are the simple type of addictions. Once you have been involved in this, you can understand that addiction is one step ahead of this dependence. The term addiction denotes the phenomenon involves both psychic and physical dependence. If it causes uncontrollable compulsive drug seeking and use, even in the face of negative health and social consequences, it results from both psychological and physical dependence of the drug. It may be turned into drug abuse. And its characteristics are an overpowering desire, compulsion, craving to continue taking the drug in spite of knowing the fact that it will cause harmful effect. Then it is called drug abuse. A tendency to increase the dose, a high tendency to develop withdrawal symptoms, and obviously a part of brain is going to be involved in case of addiction and drug abuse. Obviously the dopamine synthesis is responsible. This is the reward center, and the more the dopamine is synthesized, more you will be getting addicted. So these are the reasons why the people are usually being subjected to abuse to enhance athletic ability, especially the athletes. They are taking steroids to get a feeling of euphoria. So all these reasons are responsible for getting drug abuse. So I'm not going into the genetic aspect of these factors modifying drug action. Rather, I'm concluding my presentation with one of the key factor, that is a factor where you will see non-receptor mediated action of drug. I mean, in case of most of the drugs, you have seen that the presence of receptors are required. Drug is combined with the receptor and you will get the response. But in some cases, you will see that probably receptors are not required, still you are getting drug action. Like in case of physical antagonism, the charcoal is absorbing the drug. So that is a phenomenon, physical antagonism, where non-receptor mediated drug action you can see. Chemical antagonism, where you are prescribing antacid, receptors are not required. So there also you will be able to see non-receptor mediated drug action. If you prescribe antiseptic, it will kill the protoplasm of the particular bacteria or the germs or the microorganisms. So that is also a direct action. We will not see any kind of receptor mediated action. In case of acyclovir, when it is given in chickenpox, the acyclovir is converted to acyclovir triphosphate and then it incorporates itself in the gene sequence of that particular virus. The virus is usually herpes virus. Now that is also known as counterfeit incorporation mechanism, but this is a non-receptor mediated drug action. There are different drugs probably acting via different technologies like recombinant DNA technology, and those are also probably being used as a non-receptor mediated drug action. So with this, I am concluding my second part of the topic, factors modifying drug action, and drug interaction will be taken care separately because it's a part of your practical, and you have total 11 to 12 drug interaction which you have to memorize for writing as well as explaining to your teachers. Thank you so much.